Hey, viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist, and welcome back to another episode of So You're Being Hunted with me and Phil via Skype over there. How you doing, Phil?
I'm very well, yes, indeed.
Indeed.
Just a question for you about
Oh,
about Sea being hunted.
okay.
Uh, no, before we get to the main topic that I want to talk, because we are doing a podcast style today, aren't we?
We are
Uh,
indeed, yes. Another one.
do you think when you reach the big episodes, say if you get to like episode 500 or something like 1,000,
Yeah.
what do you think you plan to do for that, or what do you think?
I actually have no idea, to be honest. I've never actually
No,
thought about it. That's the thing. I'd like to do something special for it, but I'm not entirely
because those
sure
are going to
what
be
to
good
do.
ones. I'm sure you're going to get there at the rate you're going.
Yeah.
To the 500 and 1,000. So
Indeed.
that's definitely got to. Those are huge milestones. So
Yeah.
that definitely got to be something's got to be done there.
Yeah. I'll
Just
just
have
have
to
to have a
decide
think
what to
about
do.
it. And then again, maybe take viewer suggestions. Who knows? Because they sometimes come up
Yeah,
with interesting stuff.
that's a good idea.
Indeed.
Yeah, we're always
Yeah.
looking for your suggestions. Absolutely,
Viewer
I appreciate
suggestions.
that. Right, so the topic today, a little bit of interest. It's regards to video games
Video
that I
games.
got. Okay,
Okay.
and I'm going to go through some games that you've played,
Okay.
either with either recording, either on your own, either the games that you played with me when you've come over to my house.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me from those games the best moments that you
Best
had in those games
moments.
and the
Okay.
worst moments you had
Oh,
in those
okay,
games, the ones
yeah.
that really pissed you off or found you annoyed.
All right.
So
Yeah.
let us start with, I'm just going to pick a random one out of the air, Amnesia the Dark Descent.
Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Oh wow.
Okay, so first we'll start
yeah.
with the best moments.
Best moment. So this actually. I'm going to actually say for this one, I can't really think of a worst moment for that, just to kind of get that out of the way, because that was actually quite a decent playthrough, that was.
Well, a part of the worst moments, like put in there disappointing moments or moments that you thought were a bit lackluster compared to other parts in the
Okay.
scene.
Um,
So,
I mean,
best moments first of all.
best moments. I don't know. I mean, I liked the Dark Descent playthrough overall, but I'd say probably one of the best moments, actually, now that I think about it, was that one moment in that Rift custom map where we were being chased by that thing, and then we went into the cupboard and we just turned around and it was standing right there. That was a right
Oh
good jump
yes.
scare.
Oh
That
god,
was.
that horrible creature.
Yeah,
That's
that was a
the.
good moment. Oh man, lovely stuff.
Okay, that was from a custom map. What about the main vanilla?
Um, I'm gonna be honest. I can't really think of a single kind of best moment. It was just an enjoyable playthrough overall.
No, I didn't say a single best moment. I said some best moments.
Oh, some best moments.
Yeah, some things that you found you really liked. Some bits
Um,
that stood out maybe from the rest.
I'm
Come on,
actually
there's got to be.
struggling with that one. I'm trying to think. Like, was there anything that especially kind of stood out as being? Um. Oh man, you've actually put me on the spot with that one. I'm trying to think.
We've got a lot of
but
games to get through, so
I know. I
start
know.
thinking of your best, worst
Yeah.
moments. Good moments / disappointing things. Yeah.
Um. I'm gonna have to pass on that one. I actually can't think of one. There's not one that's coming to mind. Like, there's one that really kind of stood out from all others. It was just a decent playthrough overall. That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah.
I know
Well,
this is
even
gonna
if there's
sound a
something
bit
like
weird.
an interesting game mechanic that you liked in it as well, that you can put that in there as well. If
Okay.
there's an interesting game mechanic or anything interesting like that.
Indeed. Okay, well, let's go on to the next game then, because otherwise I think we're going to be here a while with Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
But what about your worst or disappointing moment? That can include the custom maps as well.
Was there a custom map we did where... Well, yeah, there was one that we didn't finish. Was it because we... I seem to have a memory of one where we possibly glitched out of the world or something. Have I remembered that right?
No, yeah, I do remember that. That was a bit
Yeah.
peculiar.
That was peculiar. I think I'm remembering that correctly. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
no, I think you're on the same page. We did do a lot of custom maps
It's been
together.
so
Yeah,
long since we did an Amnesia Dark Descent video that
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of struggling to sort of remember stuff from it because we haven't done it in so long.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
move on to another game. Let us do this time. Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption. Okay.
Obviously, you've played that with me.
Yeah.
Not Jan, of course. So
Yeah.
best moments or things like that. Probably.
I think the probably most standout moment for that was at the very end of it, when John Marston is standing in the barn. He just opens the doors and there's all the soldiers there, and I remember just looking at you and going, are you kidding me? There is no way he's going to shoot down all these guys.
Yeah.
And of course, he doesn't, because he gets
No.
killed. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a classic moment from that one.
Very sad moment. That.
Yeah,
Is it really spoilers at this point?
Well,
Because
everyone knows.
it was released in
Yeah.
2010.
Okay.
The original.
If you haven't played it, people, then you're a bit late to the party.
And the sort of, I would say as well, the sort of Wild West setting.
Yeah.
Very nice, very good setting.
Indeed.
Okay, what's the worst moments from that bit that you didn't like or found disappointing,
Worst moments.
Red Dead Redemption?
Oh man, this is going to really require me to rack my brain because.
Yes, I know. I'm delving into the brain.
I can't. I can't think of something especially bad from that game. No, I'm going to have to pass on that one. I can't think of anything that stands out to me as really disappointing or bad.
Bloody hell, this is not going well.
No, it's not.
No, actually, I suppose that's a good thing, actually.
It is
Because
a good thing,
really
actually,
enjoyed it, didn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay, new game. Let me pluck a random one. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. Okay, Minecraft.
Okay, well, that one, again, I think, in terms of things that stood out to me, overall, I would just say that first kind of few months after I bought the game for the first time back in 2011, and I just became almost kind of a bit addicted to it because of how sort of, I don't know what it is, but whenever I play Minecraft, right, I'm the sort of person who, when I'm down mining, as soon as I see an ore or something, I have to dig it. I'm a compulsive miner, let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
The ability to just build what you want, that's the fantastic part of it as well, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the bit that you really found enjoyed, stood out for you. What about the worst?
Worst,
Minecraft?
well, not so much worst moment, but kind of most disappointing
Yeah,
when I
that'll
kind of
agree.
look back on it is, of course, how when we were in the VA Brits, we had plans to do some pretty big stuff with Minecraft, but unfortunately it just never came to be. So, for example, like we were going to do our sort of our kind of story adventure that we were going to make up and do in there.
Yeah,
Remember
that was.
I still have
yeah.
the map file of that. Yeah, and it's kind of sad sometimes when I log back in, I just go on it randomly and look at it, and I think, oh man, all this amazing stuff I built. And, I feel kind of proud of building all of it, but
Yeah, you did a good job because I've seen it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll change this too, so it's the positives and the negatives rather than
Yeah.
just being the best moments and the
Yeah, I
worst
think
moments.
that might make it a bit more sort of open, a bit better.
Yeah, that was disappointing. Yeah, because we had, for those who don't know, we were planning to do like an adventure series. I know you could say, oh, but loads of people have done this in the past. Obviously, got the Shadow of Israfel series from the Yogs Cast, and there was that. What was that other series?
Was it? I remember one called Bashcraft, vaguely.
Bashcraft, yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was one. We were planning to do one called Last Call to London about this guy who basically sucked up London and threw it across different periods of time. So we go back in time and
It was
try
like
and
a sci-fi time traveling storyline.
Yeah.
And it was going to be interesting. I had a whole kind of plan for the storyline, how it would go, and what we needed to build on our map, stuff like this. And I had a big sort of map which I had a load of landmarks of London in it and things like
maybe
that.
if viewers are interested, you could give a little maybe preview.
Maybe I
of
could
what-
actually.
what
That's an
was to be.
interesting idea.
Yeah.
I might do that actually. I think even though I know there are some people on my channel who've kind of been a bit lukewarm about the suggestion of me doing Minecraft content, saying there's so many channels that already do it. But I'm sure some people out there would actually probably be interested in just seeing.
Yeah, you could just do it as a
that
one-off.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be interesting. I'm going to make a note of that. Yeah.
Okay, make a note of that.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, actually, in one of your So You're Being Hunted ones, the ones where you're talking about Steam game suggestions, that was originally where you said, oh, I've done some recordings of the Grom Terror in Tibet. That was ages ago.
It was ages ago. I know.
Yeah.
That whole series has been massively pre-recorded.
Okay, we need a new game, and the new game is going to be, well, I think this new game I think we should make it very fitting with what we're doing now.
Okay.
So You're Being Hunted.
So You're Being Hunted. Okay. Well.
Now I know the majority of the positives has been done in your So You're Being Hunted special, where you explain why you like it as a game. But for those who didn't watch that, just you can do some positives and negatives here. So the positives first. So You're Being Hunted.
Positives, I think. For me, it's just the kind of setting, that sort of rural British theme that's got to it. It's because obviously, you and me, we both sort of grew up in that very kind of northern rural environment.
More rural environment.
So it just kind of stands out in that regard as a very interesting setting. And even though it is very much an indie game, and it's not a perfect game. There are flaws in Sir Being Hunted, but overall, I just still really enjoy it. It's such a good effort it was for a game, and yeah, I just like it overall.
And you can talk about those flaws now in the negatives.
Yeah. So the flaws, obviously, I think the kind of thing that I would have loved to see, which unfortunately the devs haven't done, is maybe for them to come back to this game and perhaps flesh out some more stuff in it. Because I can see that. What I think is sometimes when there's like floating bits and like houses that spawn inside one another. Yeah, and the fact that obviously the multiplayer side of things is
that died its death, didn't it?
Yeah, that's nowhere near as lively as it once was, which is sad. But it's a shame. But like I say, I think the main thing is I just wish that Big Robot would come back maybe and perhaps do some updates for this to add some new stuff, because I think Sir Being Hunted, when it came out, it did get a bit of a following, so it was an interesting idea for a game.
Saw a few YouTubers do quite a good amount on it.
Yeah, indeed. So that for me is my most kind of disappointing thing with Sir.
Disappointing negative thing about Sir. Okay. Dear Esther.
Dear Esther. Oh, now we're going right back, ladies and gentlemen.
We certainly are.
That was quite an old series I did here on the channel. So, with Dear Esther, I think to summarise it kind of in brief, the positive for me was that, again, it was very interesting setting, very interesting premise. The downside, I think, is just that maybe it was obviously quite short. So,
yeah, it's set on the Scottish Hebridean Islands.
Yeah, the
and
Hebrides.
it was basically people. I think people viewed it more as an art project than a game, because it was a lot of just big walking sort of simulator.
It was walking, and dialogue based. There was no kind of interaction or anything like that. No real gameplay.
But it was interesting, and I do regret not playing it, not carrying on when I should have done.
That was back in our VA Brits days. That was, ladies and gents. Phil did about, I think, like 2 or 3 videos on it, and then you thought, no, not for me. But then, I did my playthrough here on the General.
And I regret it, but so that's Dear Esther. Okay, let's try another one. We shall do Assassin's Creed 3.
Assassin's Creed 3. Oh, my current favourite Assassin's Creed game. Used to be Black Flag, but now that's been displaced and it's Assassin's Creed 3. So, for me, I think the biggest kind of positive that I remember of AC3 is the fact that some of its characters get so much kind of interesting development to them, especially like Hatham, for example.
Hatham,
yeah. I just feel like villains since Assassin's Creed 3 just haven't had that same level of development. I just haven't found them as interesting. So that's my AC3 positive.
And with regards to that, you actually play as the villain, because obviously Hatham's the villain from the start, and then there's obviously that twist that happens. Yeah. Okay.
It's interesting because, like I say, because in subsequent Assassin's Creed games that me and you played, after that I just found the villains kind of a bit dull or a bit forgettable, and I didn't really think much of them. But yeah, Hatham Kenway, I think, kind of outshines all of them as a character. He's just interesting, partly because you play as him. Yeah.
Well.
Okay, so the negative point. Trying to think of something about AC3. Probably not enough naval combat, because I love the naval combat.
Probably not enough naval combat
of AC3 and AC4. It's just fun. Yeah.
It is that was an interesting concept they put in. They think they did first introduce it in 3, and then brought it over into 4 and Assassin's Creed Rogue as well.
Yeah.
They brought it over into there, so that was very good. Yeah. Okay, so that's disappointing. Okay, time for another game. We're going to go with the Forest.
The Forest. Okay.
Yes.
So probably most big positive, I think, was when I did my second season on it, and it was especially that moment when I got down to the bottom of the sinkhole and I found the secret laboratory and the storyline really started to come together.
Yeah, that was good when the storyline came.
That was such a fascinating moment in that playthrough, and I really, really loved it. It was just real good overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
And disappointing or kind of worst aspect of it, I think the thing about the forest is it's a very grindy game where, at least in the beginning, there's a lot of kind of resource gathering, and it takes a while before you can get to that sort of storyline-based stuff. Which I think is actually one of the reasons why I've been enjoying Raft actually a lot recently, because in terms of getting to the storyline there, once you get the antennae and things like that, you can just sort of get blitzing along in that fairly swiftly.
So a bit grindy was
a bit grindy.
That's good for the forest.
Indeed.
Okay, right. Let's think about looking at some random game because let's try. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Grand Theft Auto 5. So, I think positive for this one. I mean, there's actually probably quite a few that I can think of positive-wise for that one.
Fire away.
Interesting characters, of course. Also, obviously, the setting is very kind of unique. It's just this big, very living, breathing world that you're in. Yeah, but like I say, the larger-than-life characters, I think, are what really makes...
The characters are fantastic, I'm definitely agreeing with you on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think, is there a negative that I can sort of...
Flight School.
Oh god, yes, that. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah,
I think I'd repressed that to the darkest, deepest reaches of my brain. But yeah, the flight mechanics, particularly for aeroplanes, well, actually both the aeroplanes and helicopters, I found kind of fiddly, and I didn't really like them at all. But yeah, that was the one negative I would say about GTA 5.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Flight control's a big contested thing from the whole GTA community. They haven't been very good for a long time.
Yeah.
So I say, right, new game. Let's go for Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs.
Machine for Pigs. Okay. Positive. I loved the storyline in Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. I thought it was very interesting overall, and yeah, I just love that, and I love the setting as well, being sort of turn of the century Victorian London.
Yeah.
Very good. I suppose the negative is that, compared to Dark Descent, Machine for Pigs did sacrifice a lot of the kind of mechanics in terms of things like lamp fuel replenishment or just picking up items in your inventory. It didn't really have anything like that, so I mean, it wasn't a biggie for me. That I still really enjoyed the game overall, but I know for some real big fans of Dark Descent, that was kind of a flaw of Machine for Pigs. They didn't really like that.
Yeah. Oh, I thought of a downside of one for Dark Descent.
Go on.
That bloody fucking invisible fish.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
The water monster. Yeah.
Oh god.
Actually, it was in Machine for Pigs as well. That one.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, it's in both. Oh my god. There have been rumours. I think I've told you of there is going to be Amnesia Rebirth.
Yes.
The next one, which is going to be set in Algeria. Yeah.
Algeria,
so that's interested. Now this next one. This is unfortunately a game that you have quite a few more negatives, but we'll see how we go. Outlast.
Okay. So positive. I'll start with the positive for that one. Just to say, I didn't mind the story in Outlast. I kind of liked it because history buff and all that, and it had the sort of connections to real life history in certain respects, like Operation. I think it was called Operation Overcast, and sort of the end of the Second World War, dawn of the Cold War, stuff like that. But yeah, for me, there were kind of a lot more things that I wasn't really keen on with Outlast than there were positives. So I know this is going to be perhaps surprising to a few people because I know Outlast is so popular. A lot of people really love it. I was kind of about it myself. But negatives-wise, I think it started off really well, but then I think it became very reliant on jump scares and blood and gore as it went on. And I just kind of got to a point where I thought, for the storyline that this game is trying to tell, I feel like this game can be a lot shorter. It doesn't need to be this long.
Doesn't need to be this long. Yeah. So have to. Yeah, you did have a few.
Yeah.
That was one you have more negatives. We're going to go the opposite direction now and go to a game that you have a lot more positives, but we're going to have to get you to find a negative for it, and that is Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Oh, right, yes. You're giving me a challenge, I see there.
Aye.
Okay, so I think for this one I'll start with the negative, which is the fact that compared to later Wolfenstein games, obviously the characters don't get obviously development or anything like that. They are just what they are. But positives-wise, it was just a classic game. That good gameplay, very interesting storyline, plenty of interesting enemies and monsters to fight, stuff like that. So there was a
It
lot
was.
there.
It's good, and the custom map selection is really good as well.
The community, yes,
yeah,
indeed.
the community, fantastic. Yes,
you.
one of your favourite games. That.
Indeed.
Okay. Right. Let's have another think. I just like plucking these. Portal 1.
Portal 1. Okay. I think for me, positive was it's a classic kind of puzzle game, and it's just very enjoyable, sort of wrapping your brain around some of the situations that you get presented with. And the thing about Portal 1 I found was that although it is kind of very challenging, I don't think at any point I ever found it frustrating or anything like that.
Yeah, it's good. The puzzles are so unique. I just don't know how the developers thought of them. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, I think the negative for me with Portal 1 is that it's very much kind of... It is very outshone by Portal 2, because Portal 2 really kind of developed, obviously, like the character of GLaDOS, for example, things like that, and it had a lot of humour in Portal 2, which, as a result, I think Portal 1, as a result, is just kind of... Portal 1 still had that dash of humour to it, but yeah, I think it's just... It suffers from being the first one and not the second one, where the second one was actually a massive improvement on the first. Yeah.
Good first one. Okay. Good to get your opinions, and viewers as well. Give me your opinions on these games as well, or if you have best moments, worst moments. But we're having an insight into Andrew's opinions on the games he's played and seen. Now, this game we haven't really, nowhere near finishing it, but this will be your positives and negatives of the game so far, and that is Fallout 4.
Fallout 4. Okay. Thinking sort of positives wise. It's that big open world. It's very fascinating. It's got that distinct American 1950s feel to it, even if it is a nuclear wasteland. So that's the thing that I kind of really like about that one.
And that side quest. Yeah. The US Constitution side quest.
Yeah, that was a good one. I love that one. Yeah. Okay. Negatives wise, I'm trying to think with that one. I mean, obviously I haven't finished it, so
yeah,
I don't know.
So it'd be negatives or of it so far. Anything that
I feel like it's too early to say, because obviously I haven't played a huge amount of what that game has to offer before, so I wouldn't say there's anything in particular that I've encountered yet in there which I would say I wasn't keen on that, or I found that a bit meh. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, no worries. Right. Let's have a think now. Let's go.
Last house.
No, yeah, we'll do that one. I'm just everything.
If you don't know what that is, ladies and gentlemen, go check out my General Ray's Indie Horror Games playlist. It's
God, it's crap.
Yeah, it was
also wank is that game.
Yeah,
it really is. Okay, everybody's gone to the Rapture.
Everybody's gone to the Rapture. That was a brilliant game, and I absolutely loved it. And the positives for me, the setting, and not just the setting, but they put so much into the graphics of it. It just looks so.
Oh my
beautiful.
God, the setting. Oh, yeah. I've been astounded because we've never had a game that's set in that quaint English countryside village the village you get, and you go into when you see it because it's got the things like the little quaint pubs and everything.
Yeah, indeed.
And you've never seen that in a video game. I was just astounded when I first saw it because I've never seen that in a video game before, and it just looked exactly. If anyone outside the UK is wondering how does a British countryside village look like, that is exactly how it looks.
That's a good guide, a good starting place. Yeah. Indeed, that's just the thing that I really, really loved about it. I'm trying to think of any slightly less positive things about that game that I can think of. I think probably the one potential negative that I can think of is something which I wasn't aware of at the time, but you actually flagged up to me later, which was that I missed out a section of one of the characters' dialogues. And,
yes, I think you did, yeah.
Which I think maybe comes down a bit to the game design, in the sense that that particular area where you were supposed to find that dialogue, you can actually accidentally bypass by going down an alternate route. So maybe...
Fortunately, there are moments where that can happen. Yeah. One of the ones is at the start with Jeremy.
Yeah.
I think you got it, didn't you, when you went to the church at the end?
Yes, that's right.
But you can bypass it and go down in towards the woods and start Wendy's story.
Yeah.
And miss Jeremy's ending.
Yeah. Just to kind of clarify, I don't think that's a major problem. I guess the whole game is designed to try and encourage you to replay it and find more stuff. But
Yeah.
it just kind of sucks when you have been.
The storyline was really interesting. Yeah.
You've been doing so well with character storylines, and then suddenly you realise you've missed a little bit out somewhere. Yeah. So just that one tiny little thing. Yeah.
That one time. Yeah, that's good. So good, fantastic. Enjoyed it. Alien Isolation.
Oh, now we're getting onto some interesting ones here. So Alien Isolation, overall, I thought was a very good kind of video game recreation of the whole kind of Alien franchise. It recaptured the feel of the movie and everything about it. It was so good in that regard. And of course, the Alien with its AI is brilliant. How it just
unbelievable. I know the AI is just astounding.
Yeah. The one sort of so the kind of on the other side of the scale with that one, Alien Isolation is very much what you'd call Type 2 fun. Which is that when you look back on it, having played it, you think, you know what, that was a good game and I really enjoyed it. But at the time that you're playing it, it is stressful because, of course, like you're so scared of the alien just popping out and getting you.
And sometimes it can be difficult to make progress because you're wanting to get somewhere, but now you've got to go and hide in that locker again now.
And sometimes it's like you're hiding in a locker for about 10 minutes just so then you can pop out.
Yeah, that's what people found as well, pacing issues.
Yeah. It can get a bit slow. And so, like I say, it can. There are moments where you can get stressed out a bit, and it's like you have to maybe just take a break and then come back to it.
Absolutely.
But don't let that kind of detract from the fact that it is overall a really good game. Like I say, Type 2 fun. Which at the time you're playing it, you get stressed, but then you look back on it.
Well, that's what you get from a horror game. That's the whole point, isn't it? To get these back.
Indeed.
Okay. Right. Next game. Let us do. Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Wolfenstein: The New Order. Okay, right. It's been a while since I actually played any of that. I think overall, a very good game, very good storyline, very good characters. I know not every traditional Wolfenstein fan is a fan of the newer ones, but I like them. Negatives wise, if I had to be really nitpicky. And this isn't so much a negative for me, but it might be a negative for some traditional Wolfenstein fans, is the fact that obviously it's single player only, because they ultimately decided to get rid of the multiplayer aspect of it.
Right.
But like I say, that's not so much a negative for me, but I can imagine it being a bit of a negative for people who played the older Wolfenstein titles and were hoping maybe for some kind of multiplayer.
Yeah, that's understandable. Okay. Let me have a think. How about Senran Kagura?
Senran Kagura, Shinobi Versus. Still haven't finished it yet because at this rate it's going to take me ages to finish it. But with that one, positives, Animu, need I say more? And negatives, well, how can you find any negatives in a game where you have girls in pantsuit running around, hitting each other with swords and whatever else have you?
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Indeed.
Getting them clothing damage. That's what it is.
Clothing damage. Yes.
Clothing damage. Okay. Well, since we did the first one, let's do Portal 2.
Portal 2. So for this one, I can't really think of any particular negatives. Well, actually, no, there is one. Now I think about it, it's more of a technical thing. The fact that in some areas the frame rate just seemed to drop a bit, which was a bit weird. But balanced against that, there's so many positives to talk about with Portal 2. It was a big sort of step up from Portal 1 in terms of improving the puzzles, things like that. The humour, of course, was very notable.
Well, we had bloody Stephen Merchant.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly.
This was fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. I'm now a potato.
Played Wheatley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, that final scene where you briefly end up on the moon. That's quite something.
That was something.
Yes, it was.
Oh God, yeah. I remember watching that.
Yeah. That moment.
And just your progressive watts kept going up.
Yeah.
What?
What? Indeed.
Yeah.
It was a classic episode. Go and watch my Portal 2 series, everybody. It was good.
Okay, next shall be Stranded Deep.
Stranded Deep. Okay, so positives. Again, like the setting. It looks lovely. The graphics are absolutely fantastic. I always love, obviously, maritime sort of games with maritime sort of settings, things like that. Negatives-wise, again, kind of like the Forest, it's a bit grindy. And you just end up having to wander around gathering lots and lots of resources just to do a select few amount of tasks, stuff like that. So yeah, it's similar kind of things really to the Forest for the negative side of things.
Okay. Rayman 3, Hoodlum Havoc.
So, favourite Rayman game of all the ones I've played. I think so. I'm going to be hard pressed thinking of negatives for this one just because I liked it so much. But positives wise, oh man, there's too much for me to talk about there. So just to kind of sum it up in brief, liked the more and more emphasis on the combat mechanics, the power-up system, the diversity of levels that you go to with their own kind of graphical diversity between them. So no two kind of worlds that you go to are quite the same. Just overall, just the general aesthetic of it, I really liked. Yeah. Those are just some of the points that I really enjoyed about it. Negatives wise, I'd have to get back to you on that one. I'm sure there's probably something, some minor little flaw somewhere, but
might be a little flaw, maybe some scene that you didn't really like. Yeah.
But I can't really think of it right now off the top of my head.
Well, I'm going to throw you into another hard one.
Okay.
For the negative sides, Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh, okay. Yes, you are throwing me into a very hard one there for negatives. Negatives-wise, again, that's one where I'd have to get back to you on that one because I cannot think of one really off the top of my head at the moment. Actually, no. I guess. I guess you could maybe say the fact that it's obviously a short game. There's not much there, but I don't know. I mean, that's both a blessing and a curse in a sense. It's a curse obviously because there's not much there and you're left wanting more, but it's a blessing at the same time in that the game doesn't overstay its welcome. It's short and sweet. It does what it wants to do, and then it does it, and it doesn't kind of try and pad string things out as other games I've played have sometimes tried to do. So go on, we'll put that as sort of a negative and a positive in a sort of paradoxical sense.
Okay. Is that the only positive?
Oh right, sorry. I thought we were gonna move on to another game then. I mean, obviously, just other positive. Again, there's too many for me to really talk about.
Just to sum up.
Just to sum up, even though it's dated by today's standards, I do still love the graphics and the aesthetic of it. Love the characters. The gameplay is fun. Love the storyline. So there's a lot in it that I just really liked.
Yeah. Okay. Rayman 2 now.
Ooh, Rayman 2. Positives-wise, it was fun playing it. Negatives-wise, obviously, it's very dated now, certainly compared to things like Rayman 3, stuff like that. And again, obviously, I mean, you have to sort of take this with a pinch of salt because obviously Rayman 2 is older, so maybe there were limitations at the time in terms of what the devs could really put in. But mechanics-wise, Rayman 2 just doesn't feel quite as fleshed out as later ones have been.
To be quite as fleshed out. Okay. Let us do. Do you know which one now? Assassin's Creed 4.
Assassin's Creed 4. So this was a interesting one because obviously the big positive for me was the naval combat. Really liked it, and for quite a while, that really swayed it heavily in favour of it being my favourite.
I know it was. It was good, especially when you go. I like the bit where you can just go to like a little island and just stop the ship and just get off and explore.
But like I said earlier, AC3 is now my favourite Assassin's Creed, and part of the reason for that is because when I sort of look back on Black Flag, I do sort of acknowledge that once you get kind of beyond the naval combat, there are a lot of little flaws in it, in terms of things like aspects of the storyline maybe not being as kind of tight as they could be. Maybe some characters just perhaps not being as interesting. So, we're getting onto kind of the negatives of it here, but like for example, one of the negatives I had with AC4 was just that the villain, Torres, whatever he's called, again, just he was kind of forgettable for me.
Well, that just goes to show it then. Torres, whatever he's called.
Torres, whatever he's called. Yeah, exactly. So, that's my thoughts on Black Flag.
That's my thoughts on Black Flag. Okay. The 2009 Wolfenstein.
The forgettable Wolfenstein, as I call it. The one that everyone kind of forgets existed. So, positives-wise, here's the thing about it. From a completely objective point of view, Wolfenstein 2009 is not a bad game. It's functional, the gameplay works, it's fun, and in that respect, it's fine. The big thing that that was a negative though for me with Wolfenstein 2009, and I've said this before, I think in other videos, is just that the storyline just wasn't really there. It felt like the devs had loads of interesting ideas, but just didn't really do anything with them. So yeah, it was a game that for me could have had a really, really interesting storyline full of little twists and little things, but ultimately it just felt like it didn't really click. Yeah, it didn't work because it needed more effort putting into it.
The thing I liked, I must say, are the death animations.
Yeah.
Like the bit, like we shoot them in the throat, or they shoot them in the leg, and they just sort of start hopping for a bit, and then they die.
Yes.
Yeah, that was always the funny bit of that. Okay. Half-Life 1.
Half-Life 1. So positives-wise, classic shooter. Gameplay is fun, definitely. I suppose the one negative is that obviously, because it's an old game, can be a bit janky in areas, especially in the Zen levels where where there's a lot of parkour and obviously old school FPS.
You had a lot of fun
parkour.
with that, yeah.
Yeah. But having said that, I'm really enjoying Half-Life 2 at the moment. Half-Life 2 has been real fun from what I've done of it so far. I've got a load of episodes of that pre-recorded. I need to upload
That's
them.
good. That's good. Okay. Wolfenstein: The Old Blood.
So similar kind of things really to New Order. Fun gameplay, interesting storyline, nice little homage to some of the older Wolfenstein games. Negatives wise, just not a long thing. There wasn't, a lot to it.
No, there's less sequences. I think there wasn't there?
Much less.
Much less. Sounds okay. Assassin's Creed Unity.
Oh yes, probably of all the Assassin's Creed games, my least favourite one. Yeah, positives. I mean, gameplay. Yeah, it's all right. The gameplay's all right. It's your usual Assassin's Creed fare. Nothing much else to say about that. Negatives. Storyline. I was very about, and the villain Jaman. I remember when I played it. There was a point when I was playing it with you where I looked at you and I said, "Who's the villain in this again?" And you were saying, "It's
there
Jaman."
was.
You've forgotten him? Yeah, because I completely forgot who he was. Yeah.
I'm sort of on the same side as you. One of the positives I did like was the French Revolution. That was a good sort of time era.
Nice setting.
To do it. Yeah. Okay, well let's move to the other one in the series, Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Syndicate, better than Unity, definitely. Victorian London was always interesting to see. And we had some interesting characters in there. Negatives, couple things, I think, because it's such a big open world, eventually the gameplay does get repetitive. When you're clearing out borough after borough after borough, and you just do kind of repeating the same things over and over.
Yeah.
But also, I think I would have liked the villain to have a bit more screen time to develop his character, Starrick, because I felt like he could have been interesting. He could have been a new Haven Kenway, but I don't know. I still came away feeling like he was kind of very two-dimensional and
needed a bit more development.
Yeah, he needed more. Yeah.
Well, wait till you play Origins. Let me tell you, Origins is really good.
Yeah.
A vast improvement there. Okay, how about SCP Containment Breach?
My favourite horror game, or one of the ones that I've played before. I mean, not much to say about this one other than the positive is that I felt a constant sense of dread throughout it. So it's one of the few horror games where I can think of where I've consistently felt that throughout the entire playthrough, which is a good sign. Which is a sign of a good horror game. Because the thing about SCP is, although it does have jump scares in it, it does a lot with its atmosphere, and that's what really helps it work, which is really, really good.
What about just before you do negatives, did you have a sort of good feeling of dread in Alien Isolation?
Yeah, at times.
You had it chasing you.
Yeah, at times I did. There were other times where that I had less of that sense of dread. Alien Isolation had it, but not in all areas.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Negatives for SCP Containment Breach. Well, the fact that obviously it's an indie production, it's made by I think like one person or a team of just a small number of people.
Right.
It can be. I remember it sometimes being a bit glitchy and a bit buggy, but if you can get sort of beyond those, it is a good game. Yeah.
Game. Yeah, I did enjoy watching it. Okay. Layers of Fear.
Layers of Fear. Very unique horror game. Very unique premise. psychological horror, very much dependent on atmosphere, which I liked, although there were, jump scares at times in it. Loved the graphical style of it, beautiful to look at.
Psychological horror, that one, isn't it? Yeah.
And of course, just the sheer mindfuck that goes on in it as the rooms and the buildings start reshaping around you. It's so good.
Oh god, yeah, I loved that when that happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Negatives. Negatives. Trying to think. I think the. Are there any negatives that I can really think about? I mean, I suppose there were. Now, that might be one where I have to think about it, Layers of Fear, while they're kind of negatives to it, because Layers of Fear was a very good game overall.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're thinking you're going to have a little think about that one, are you?
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of something for that one.
Layers of Fear, right. Yeah. Okay. Let me think now. I'm just trying to go through the ones. Okay, this one, of what you've played so far, even though you haven't finished it, Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, okay, right. So obviously it's a classic, and I do like platformers, and Tomb Raider, the basic kind of premise of it, archaeologists going through tombs is always an interesting one.
Aye.
The big problem that I have with it, and once I release my episode 9, you'll see this for yourself, it's just that the Steam port of it is really janky. And the controls are very frustrating.
Yeah, the camera's always a funny one.
Yeah, the camera, the fact that there's like a weird delay when you press the jump button, the slightly tank controls of how Lara actually moves in it, and it's just one of those things which really kind of ruins the experience of it. When you feel like you're not just kind of battling the actual in-game puzzles and enemies, you're also battling the controls. Yeah, it just makes it kind of feel like you're hammering rusty nails into your head a bit, but yeah.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. Okay. The Long Dark.
Long Dark. Very lovely graphical style. It's an interesting concept. Really lovely. I suppose the negative is kind of like the Forest, a bit like Stranded Deep. It's grindy, except of course because it's the Long Dark, it takes it to a whole new level of difficulty.
Yeah, it is very grindy.
Yeah,
more, you've got to balance so much. That's really
indeed.
It can be stressful, can't it?
Yeah, it can be.
Right, let me think now. Tabs.
Ooh, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. I love this one. I think for me, there's so many positives that just outweigh any negatives. Lovely graphical style, very cartoonish, very funny. Always
it's
fun.
Funny, yeah.
Very simple concept to it. It's but it works so well. Yeah. Negatives wise, that's one where I'd have to get back to you. Can't think of any off the top of my head. Any real kind of criticisms that I have of it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, the thing is, it's still kind of in development technically, Tabs. So,
okay.
The devs are quite responsive. They are very good at fixing any kind of bugs or glitches.
Oh, that's good.
Anything.
I like it when they're responsive to consumers like that.
They are. Yeah, Landfall are very good for that.
Well done to them. Because sometimes there's people out there who are not like that. And you just got to wonder what they're doing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me think. Let's the first Danganronpa game. So Trigger Happy Havoc.
Trigger Happy Havoc. So much that I love about that one because it was the first one. I think it's one of those ones that really stands out as being so memorable. Loved the cast of characters. Well, most of them, that is. And just the basic premise of the storyline is fascinating. It's got that mystery to it that just makes you want to kind of play more and find out what's going on. And also obviously because it's quite unique for a sort of visual novel in that it's got that murder mystery dimension to it of investigating murder scenes.
Yeah, murder mystery is really good. So if you like murder mystery,
and the mechanics of the trials
can
sometimes be good. Yeah, indeed. Oh yes. Any sort of negatives that I can think of? I guess this isn't so much a criticism, this is more just an observation more than anything, is that I think some characters probably get more development than others, and as a result they kind of stand out a bit more. But that's not, I'd say, a particular criticism. That's just a perhaps a thing that naturally occurs in a game like that, where people are inevitably going to die off. Somebody always has to be the first one to die.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's the thing about it. It's just crazy. Who done it? That's it.
Who done it? Yeah.
Okay, how about Team Fortress 2?
TF2? Yeah, it's fun. Nice character that it's got to it, with its charm, its graphical style, things like that. Negatives wise, I feel like I haven't really played enough of it to really begin to say. I think, I guess this is not really a reflection on the game itself, but when you end up on a server where you're the noob and everyone else is a pro player and you just get absolutely slaugted. But
that's every time for you, then.
Yeah, that's every time for me, pretty much.
Every time for you.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, how about I can't believe I nearly missed this one. Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth.
Dark Corners of the Earth, brilliant horror game. So I think I'll get the negative out of the way first for that one, which is of course the fact that it is technically buggy, and there are areas where you do have to go online to get save files in order to get around game.
Oh god,
bugs.
That bit on the boat,
Yeah, indeed. But balanced against that is the fact that it is probably, I would say, one of the best adaptations of the works of H.P. Lovecraft that there's ever actually been. So yeah, I mean, the setting of Innsmouth, really good, really dingy, very dark, atmospheric. Some brilliant kind of monsters. The survival horror mechanics really work well with the minimalist UI, stuff like that. It's just, very good overall. It's just, like I said, it's just those bugs that kind of let it down a bit.
It's just a shame that I've heard the Call of Cthulhu, the latest one that was released in 2018, I think it was, really hasn't received the best of reviews.
Yeah, I've heard it's not been too great.
It's supposed to be based off the tabletop game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really hasn't. That's what I've heard. But yeah, I like the sanity meter in the Dark Corners of the Earth as well. That was clever.
Yeah.
To see that. Right, let me think.
Down number 2, Ultra Despair Girls. I'm just throwing out suggestions. Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator.
I know there's quite a few
There's
you've
a
done.
lot here.
Okay, the Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator.
Ultimate Epic Battle. Okay, so it's fun. It's a fun way to kill off a bit of time. Just to kind of.
I like the fact that you can have massive battles.
Yeah, it's good. The one kind of big thing for me though is just that I really want the dev to kind of come back and start implementing more stuff in it, because just more to flesh out some of the stuff. I think they are actually planning to do so, which is good. But I don't know what the time frame is on that. So yeah.
There's no time frame on that. Okay.
Yeah. Indeed. Yes.
Indubitably.
Oh boy. Indeed.
But it's good to get your sort of grasp of the sort of the games that you've played, and whether you've recorded them or not, and the sort of bits that you've liked and bits that you haven't liked from these games, because there's all sorts of games you've played out there, and it's just interesting to get concept. I suppose the viewers would be interested to know what you think about the games that you played.
Indeed. Are we going to start wrapping up here? Because I think that's a good size for an episode there.
Yeah. Obviously, we've done a few more games, but I just thought I'd go through some and just see what your best and worst moments were from them.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's by no means an exhaustive list of all the games I played. There's tons which, we haven't really been through
actually, just to end it.
Go ahead.
Just to end it. The best and worst moments that you've done recording, let's say recording with me.
Oh, with you, okay.
Yeah, any game. So maybe best moments, maybe some worst moments.
I'd like to start actually with one of the worst, I think. And this isn't something that you've done or anything like that. This is just going way back to the early days of the channel when we did our first collab, and of course I had to subtitle videos because we didn't have. That was just the worst aspect, I think, of collabs back in the day. Yeah,
because we didn't have a microphone, and I was speaking through your headset.
So your voice came through very faint, so I had to subtitle. And that was the worst aspect, just because it meant that I had to spend so long subtitling, and it was just, it was a bit of a ball ache. But, balanced against that is the fact that collaboration overall is actually very enjoyable and is actually quite positive and is good, because especially, when me and you get together in episodes like this where we have big conversations about interesting
Absolutely.
stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. We had to, because obviously you moved down south, so we had no way of doing recordings anymore, which was a bit sad.
Yeah.
But then we thought I came up with the idea, why don't we try over Skype?
Yeah, and it's worked very well, I do think. So there you go, everybody. That was a nice big mammoth episode of Sir with me and Phil, doing very good. I think
doing absolutely very good.
Yeah, getting gas from my tea coming up my throat this then.
Oh God, not again.
Yes. Well, there you go. Facebook and Twitter links down below then as usual, ladies and gentlemen, along with a link to my propagandist channel for anyone interested. Other than that, if you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Leave us your thoughts down in the comments about some of the games that we've talked about today. Have you played them? What did you like about them? What did you dislike about them? Or, not necessarily dislike, but what did you find or anything like that? Thank you for joining me then, Phil.
Absolutely, it's interesting to hear your thoughts and everything. So definitely tell us if you played any of those games, if you've got best or worst moments from them, or other games that we may never have played. If you wanted to do, you could do a Halo. Or a game like Mass Effect.
Yes.
And as Andrew has said in an old Left 4 Dead, what is an angel's favourite game? Halo.
Funny you should say that.
Join in.
Halo.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that because I was just thinking about that when you said Halo. I was about to make that bloody joke.
Well, I watched one of our old Left 4 Dead video, and it was the first one. Where we had a go at that.
Oh dear.
But absolutely, viewers, yes, tell us if those games you've played them or had any best moments, or you could do best or worst moments from maybe us collab. Maybe there's a bit you didn't like, or maybe there's a bit you thought was absolutely hilarious, and do things like that. I know that we've come up with funny quotes and things like that. Where I've said we're all related to dogs in some way, or I said a chemist.
Philisms, yes. There you go, everybody. So we're signing off now. Goodbye, all. Goodbye. Natsuki, Yuri, and of course Monica. No Sayori. Rip in peace. Will I really be happy spending every day after school in a literature club? Perhaps I'll have the chance to grow closer to one of these girls. Alright, I'll just need to make the most of my circumstances, but I'm sure good fortune will find me. I don't think it will, mate. Not after what's happened so far, which you can't seem to remember. But I guess that starts with writing a poem tonight. Time to write a poem. Oh. You have unlocked a special poem. Would you like to read it? Yes. No.